Micheals Show. Welcome to the show, guys. I'm Ace Micheals. Good to see you as always. If you're watching the show, thank you. Thank you for that. Namaste. Listen, I need you to watch the show. I need you to share the show and like the show as you've done for years. I really appreciate that. I never want you to feel unappreciated, okay? Because you are my people. And if you ever want to be on the show, all you have to do is send us a message, say, hey, man, I want to be on your show. And we'll get you on the show. Being on the show is the best way to voice your opinions, ideas, convictions, suggestions, beliefs, dreams, prophecies. You know who you are. And that's what's up today. I have two good friends that I've known for a long time. I've got some people I've known for a while, believe it or not. And these two have never done my show. Go figure. Go figure. I asked the gentleman many a time, actually. I mentioned it. I don't think he took me serious. I think he was like, I am too big to do this type of thing. Call me when you are a superstar. But anyway, that's a side story. That's a whole nother show. But welcome to the show today, my good friends, Sally Olson and Ned Micheals.
And thank you for calling me a gentleman. I appreciate that, Ace.
Oh, yeah. We can edit the show. That's no problem. No, you know, the thing is, I haven't actually seen the two of you since the last time I saw you on stage, which is kind of strange because I haven't been to some stage shows for it's been a year now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think you saw me at the Rampart, right?
Yeah, it's been longer than a year then since I've seen you both. You both look great. Good to see you both.
Yeah.
So the audience doesn't know probably a lot about what you do. One thing I want to say about Ned is that he plays a million instruments, right? You play trumpet, you play piano, you play flugelhorn, you play have I seen you playing a harmonica as well?
Yeah, I've
play a
done that.
harmonica too?
And I play the fool once in a while too. You know.
You play the flute as well, don't you?
No, I said I play the fool.
You play the fool. Hey, everybody plays the fool.
Yeah,
Sometimes you know this, you know that. But did I cover all your instrumentation?
Pretty much. Piano is my nucleus, and my second instrument is trumpet. In fact, I do that in our show that we're going to talk about as well.
Yeah,
So.
and let me tell y'all something. The man really does play the piano super well. Ned, you do a lot of gigs. Do you remember a gig that I called you on last minute and we did a thing together, just you and I?
At the Artisan?
No, well, we did that thing, but that was,
I
think that was a group, but you and I did a thing in an afternoon type of gig, and it was a last minute thing. So listen, Sally, this is what happened. It was a last minute thing, and I called Ned because I knew he'd be the only guy who could cover a gig last minute, right? And he shows up. He did so good on the gig. Like, he had jokes, he had things to do in between, he had music to play in between our sets. Like, he had everything. It's literally like he opened up a bag of like music gig 101 and he was like he had it covered. It was awesome. The client loved him, I loved him, I still love him, the client probably still loves him. It was awesome. But enough about our life together. Now you guys are doing something. Please tell us whatever you want to share. You have the floor.
Yeah, you can start.
Well, for those of you who don't know, I moved to Las Vegas from Vermont in April of 2018, and that was just a couple months after I met Ned, or a few months after I met Ned in late January of 2018, because I wanted to come out to Las Vegas, and I was looking to take my Carpenters tribute show to the next level. And being from Vermont, I kind of exhausted the resources there, and it became clear that I needed to come out to a place like Las Vegas where tribute artists are, many, and there's a lot of work for people who are tribute artists.
The capital of the world type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So I came out and I met Ned on that trip, and then the rest was history, and he convinced me to move, and
now you were already doing the Karen Carpenter. You were doing a Karen Carpenter tribute with what? With tracks or what? Because without Ned, I mean, how could you do it without Ned?
I don't even know how I did it before Ned.
I mean, what were you even thinking without the Ned?
it's a very different show than it was originally. No, it was just me and with a pianist, and then sometimes if the budget allowed, it was me and a pianist and bass and drums, and then sometimes I would just go out and perform with tracks. You know,
How do you like doing tracks? Let's be honest. You can tell me. We got no censorship on the show. How do you like it with tracks?
Well, with the Carpenters music, it's kind of a unique situation because using tracks is really, in addition, I mean, I don't like, okay, there's a difference here.
Exactly. Go
I like
ahead.
going out and
Speak your mind,
performing.
sister. Go ahead. You can tell us.
Pros and the
Okay.
cons.
I don't
Good
like
and the bad.
going out and performing just me by myself with tracks. Like that I don't like so much. But with our full bands, the tracks are used to kind of enhance and fill out the sound. And really with the Carpenter sound, they were overdubbed and stacked harmonies, and that's really the only way to get their sound as sort of in their recordings in a live performance setting.
They did the same thing too.
Yeah,
I
forgot you can do tracks with a live band. Okay, so I should have said doing just the track, because that's what I meant. You don't like doing that. Nobody likes that.
Been there, but it's not preferable.
Okay, so you were doing tracks sometime with live band, but definitely you don't like to do the tracks just yourself. And did you feel like you were carrying a lot? Like when it's you and Ned, it's like a duo. Well, it is a duo. So you got 50% responsibility, right? But when it's you and a band hired or you and a track, did you ever feel like, gosh, I got a lot of work I got to do? Because after all, it's just me out there. Like I'm Karen Carpenter and there is no Richard Carpenter. It's just me. And I'm carrying the thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like that?
It was a lot to manage, and it still is a lot to manage, but it's so much more enjoyable having a team member like Ned, who's very talented at what he does. And of course, it was the Carpenters, not just Karen Carpenter. So I really needed a Richard Carpenter, and he was the guy,
right?
In more ways than one.
And when you were doing just
and it also allows us to.
When you were doing the Carpenter show, did people ever come up after and go, "Gosh, it'd be great if you had a Richard"? Did anybody ever say that before, or not occur to them until after?
Yeah, not a ton, because I guess unless you're a really hardcore Carpenters fan, some people, when they think of the Carpenters, unfortunately, they only think of Karen. Richard doesn't really get the respect that and the acknowledgement that is due. But for people who are in the know, they're very much aware that it was Richard and Karen, the brother-sister duo. And she very much depended on him because, I mean, he's the one who, some of the music was original, and he and John Bettis co-wrote, and other songs that they covered, but he was the arranger, and he had the talent of picking out music and songs that were perfect for Karen's voice. So.
No, I've heard it said, I wouldn't know because I've done zero tribute artisting and zero imitative work in my entire life. But I've heard it said that if you do a tribute show for a while, you kind of attribute the character a little bit. And I would imagine that, if you play Liza, you probably attribute some Liza. You play Mariah, or you play Joan Rivers, or you play any one of these characters. You might start to attribute. Would you agree with that, or can you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Part of my task of becoming Karen Carpenter, so to speak, was not only it's not just the music. It's studying the mannerisms, the way she moved on stage, gestures, and even her speaking voice. And so I think one of the interesting things for me on a day-to-day basis, when I'm just being myself, the way I talk, it kind of just naturally comes out as, it sounds like Karen's speaking voice. And I don't even try to do it anymore. It's just become so ingrained in me. And it's kind of funny. But
what a cool person that you got to be, though, because I've seen her in interviews and she seemed like she was a very generous, gracious person, as opposed to if you had taken up a gig where you have to play someone whose characterization is not so friendly. Like if Ned does Elton John Elton John, he's a piece of work. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he's a great musician, great singer-songwriter, but he's also an individual who's quite a character. And so I would hate to have to carry that around an extra 8 hours a day, you know, just to stay in character. But now, speaking of Ned, let's go to you now. So when I first met you, you were, some people called you the maestro. Did you know that? They called you the maestro.
Really?
Yeah,
Not in my face, but
even you know, they'd all get together, like smoke a cigarette at the end of the bar, and they'd be like, "Yeah, he's the maestro over there." But so now you've been in entertainment for a while. I get the impression you were a child performer, and probably you too as well, Sally. But Ned, didn't you start off as like 3-year-old, like
yeah.
out of
Well,
the womb?
no, I wasn't that young. I was 4. But yeah, I started. I can disclose it. I guess I'll be 56 years old in October, and
Young man, strapping young man.
performing for over 50 years of my life. I started in '68, and I started out playing the piano. My father.
Born in '68.
Oh my God! Yeah, play me a song.
Dude.
So my father was a novice pianist, and he didn't play professionally, but he was always interested in songwriting. And there's a lot of music on my mother's side of the family. My grandmother was one of those silent movie piano players. She'd watch the silent screen and play the piano, you know, and that whole style of stride piano where you're playing back and forth, you know, was what I kind of cut my teeth on. And then a couple of years later, when I was 6, my father showed me a trumpet that belonged to my grandfather. It's this old beat up horn. He'd bought it from Sears back around 1935 for $10. And my dad had it. And yeah, it looked pretty sad. It was all broken up and pieces of solder hanging off of it. It looked like broccoli growing out of it. It was pretty bad. But anyway, we cleaned it up, and he wanted me to learn how to play trumpet. And he told me and my brother, he said, if you learn how to play My Country 'Tis of Thee, I'll give you $1. And I was a little kid. I didn't care about learning the trumpet. I wanted my $1. That was the big thing.
That's right.
So I learned how to play it and got the thing. And so I was torn between both instruments for a long time. I played trumpet in the marching band, you know, in high school and in the concert band. And when I got to college, I was kind of at a crossroads. And at the time, my proficiency in classical music was better at the trumpet than the piano. Mm-hmm. So I went to East Carolina as a classical trumpet major, but minored in piano. And then after 2 years, I went to North Texas State and I switched it, and my trumpet transferred over. So I became a piano major, and it kicked my butt. But bottom line, though, if you think about it, how many solo trumpet bars are out there? There aren't any, you know. Yeah, so right. Piano kind of became my mainstay.
And I will tell you something, boy, you play that piano too. Don't he play that piano, Sally? You play that piano, boy. I've seen Ned, you know, we're missing out here in Vegas because they closed down one of our main hangs, was the Tap House. And that's that's not where I first saw Ned. I first saw Ned at the Suncoast doing a regular big show.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the guys from that show, because musicians always tell you where to go. If you want to keep it click, you go where the musicians are going, you know. Yeah. So somebody said, hey, you know, you got to go down to the Tap House because that's where we're going to be jamming. Yeah. Like, okay. And jamming, just if you guys don't know, jamming is where you want to go. If you want to see musicians in their element, go to the jams. You know what I'm saying? Because that's when musicians are really like loose and they're on substances and stuff. It's awesome. So anyway, so I went to the jam and I saw Ned again. Now, I didn't recognize him the first time I saw him because he's two different people. You understand? He's on the professional side. You can't get a more professional guy. He's like, he's the music director. He was the music director of the Suncoast. And that title alone tells you something about his personality. So he was the music director there. But at the jam, man, this guy was playing Stevie Wonder, Tom Jones. He was going from singing leads on songs to playing bass on one hand, and then he was playing the trumpet with the other hand. He was doing a doggone show by himself. And then another time at the Jam, I managed to see, this was a different place, but I managed to see Sally. And I didn't know Sally from the girl from the Valley. And they introduced
That
Sally
would have been
Olson.
very early on in my.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've been here for a while. I'm almost a veteran now. So they introduced Sally, and Sally got up, and I was like, wow. Because both Sally and Ned are very modest when it comes to, like, Ned captivates the audience. Sally invigorates people. Like you should see, like, when you're doing Karen Carpenter, women are standing up and walking towards the stage as if like they're going to hand you their final roses or something. like I've only got 2 roses left. One's for me and one's for you. Here you go. You know what I mean? So the 2 of you together is a really special package. Like, that's a really good blend and a good mix. Now the question is, how did you guys make that work? Like, is it just a thing that happened naturally? Did you, when you met, you were like, hey, I'm Paul McCartney. Hey, I'm John Lennon. Let's write something and see how it works. Like, what was the glue that, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. You can answer that.
Can I? I don't know. I think it was.
So it was how we had a mutual friend who introduced.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, going back to my first trip to Vegas, I had done my show before Ned.
What's
Ned. What is that?
That was back in Indy before Ned or something like that. Yeah.
1 year BN. April, or less than a year actually. April 2017, I did my show at the Triad Theater in New York City, and there was a gentleman there who was he spoke with me after the show, and he was very taken by it and very impressed, and he said that he had some ideas and he'd be in touch. And then lo and behold, he got in touch with me about 2 months later. And he said that he had a childhood friend who lives in Las Vegas, a former showgirl, Pam Sullivan. And he connected me up with her. So we talked on the phone that very same night. And then we continued the conversation. And she encouraged me to come out to Las Vegas to audition for Legends in Concert. And so that was the initial pull that got me out here. And on that first trip, she scheduled me to sit in with various pianists, and Ned was the first one on that night at the Tap House. And then he ended up being the last one. So I never ended up singing any of the others, because he just like, no, I'll play for you the rest of the week while you're here. I was like, well, that's great, because you know, consistency, I like that. And we just clicked.
He's my favorite too, by the way. If I had a budget, which I never do, but if I did have a budget, I would definitely call Ned first, because he's the best. He is absolutely the best.
Well, I had a lot to catch up on, because like a lot of people, I only had a basic working man's, layman's knowledge of Richard Carpenter. And I started to gain a newfound appreciation and respect for him. I mean, we all know the hits, we all know Close to You, and We've Only Just Begun, but I had no idea to what extent he was definitely the wind beneath Karen's wings. And I had to really step up my pianistic game too. There's some things that we do in our show. We recreate their, I guess we're kind of leading into that conversation. We recreate their live concerts. And Richard plays a Bach Invention that was never published, so I had to figure out what he was playing before I even learned how to play it. And he does a big classical number, so I do Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. And it was really, he was quite an accomplished jazz pianist and concert pianist. And so it really kicked my butt, you know, getting to learn the part, and, you know, the role and the hair and the, he speaks more in a
pseudo transatlantic.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it.
He kind of talks more of a transatlantic accent like this, Karen. So when you speak a little bit lower tone, you know, I had to study the character and mannerisms, and you know, don't have to be another Richard Carpenter, but I do my best.
Did you have to change your style of playing at all? Like your actual style? Did you find that you had to change that?
To some degree, a lot of my style crosses over. A lot of people don't realize before the Carpenters became the Carpenters with their their first album. What was the one that was changed? That
It
has
was offering.
offering. Before
Repackaged as
that,
Ticket
they
to
had
Ride.
won a Battle of the Bands, and actually they had a jazz combo. The bass player actually doubled on tuba. They, if you
Jazz
listen,
tuba.
you listen to their music from this before their big hits,
Uh-huh.
it would be completely unrecognizable. And a lot of that style and comping, and of course he loved to play the electric piano, the Fender Rhodes and the Wurlitzer. A lot of that related pretty well. It's just the classical stuff. It's just the chops, the mere technique that he had. I really had to work with we do this number where Karen would sing From This Moment On, and he plays the Bach invention behind her. It took me weeks to learn that piece. It really, to do it right, you know.
Right.
And so
Now I want to talk repertoire, and then I want to talk about the show that you guys have coming up. But with regards to repertoire, does it ever? I know you guys are going to say no, but say no at least in a way to where it doesn't sound just like.
no.
Do you guys ever? Only way I can say it is this: does the material ever get a little tiring to do the same? Because you can only do so many songs with Carpenters because you got only so many to work from. It's like if you do the Jacksons, you've only got so many songs that everybody knows. So does the show ever need a point where you have to like spice it up or flip something around to keep yourself interested in what you're doing?
Well, because the show that we do is pretty much exact recreation of their 1976 touring show. We keep very true to that, and therefore we're not really changing things up unless we get to a point. I mean, very early on in the show when we debuted the new version, we were constantly tweaking and changing, and okay, this doesn't work, but why don't we try this? But at this point, it's pretty much set.
It's settled in, but the biggest misconception about the Carpenters, for those who are not like hardcore fans, is that they're not just about the ballads. Although, of course, their biggest hit, just like for lack of a better comparison, Barry Manilow is known for all his beautiful ballads, but if you go to one of his concerts, he's got Copacabana and people going nuts. Well, when the Carpenters first started performing live, they were performing their hits, and they were advised to bring in some Broadway consultants. So what can we do to kick the show, you know, and take it up another notch to make it more visually entertaining and to add some concepts? So what a lot of people don't understand is it isn't like we're just doing slow songs. We do.
There's so much variety.
Oh, God.
What we are doing is that 76 show is the show that resulted from their show undergoing an overhaul and a revamp due to those awakened.
Yeah,
there's tons of variety.
Yeah, there's a big drum feature that Sally does. I've got the classical thing. He was a fan, for your older viewers. He was a fan of Spike Jones. Remember the guy from that had all the bells and whistles and corny stuff? We do a comical version of Close to You.
Which, and they did that.
And people are like, what is this? You know, we put on the funky jackets, why do birds suddenly appear, honk, honk, you know, and all the whistles and stuff. And so we add all these elements that makes it interesting. And the other thing is we're not done yet. We're in the process of working on our Christmas show. We have a tour of Texas in December. And because they didn't perform their Christmas show live, they had 2 television specials back in 1977 and 78. So of course, in classic Sally and Ned fashion, we're recreating those moments from the TV show. We always love to do, if you watch our promo videos, we always like to recreate their famous shots, and we actually morph. Here's Karen and Richie, here's Sally and Ned. And
that's
we
great.
do the same poses. And so it's still evolving. You know, it never gets tiresome. It really doesn't. I'll tell you what does get tiresome is the business side. Every musician, you will agree, we don't like that part. We're good at it, but the selling, the contracts, the pitching, the phone calls, the logistics, the hotels, booking the flights, all that stuff, we still by ourselves get about probably 90%, 95% of
Yeah.
our shows we got with our own roll up your sleeves, blood,
Most
sweat, and
of my
tears.
days are spent right here at this kitchen table on
Yeah,
my
that's
laptop.
We hustle constantly
Especially lately, you know, with
because a
COVID.
lot of
blood and
agencies
tears of it. Yeah.
talk a good line and they'll say, okay, you know, we'll do something, but they wait for the phone to ring. They don't hustle. And we don't enjoy selling. We're damn good at it. You know, we've got what, about 15 altogether this year, 20 shows booked. 2 got postponed because of COVID-19. But that's the part that is challenging for us, is the business side of it. Nobody really likes that, really, you
Yeah,
know.
nobody. And so tell us a little bit about your upcoming show, because there's probably people watching here that want to book you. See, this is
Yeah.
how my show works. The bookers
Oh,
watch my show. No, I'm kidding.
absolutely.
I wish they
That'd be
did.
great.
I hope they
Well,
do.
we did have like a lot of shows. We did have one that was postponed. We were supposed to be in California.
That would have been this coming Sunday, actually.
Yeah, and
At the Harris Center for the Arts in Folsom, California.
outside of Sacramento.
Yeah.
So that got postponed, and then the other one that will be moved
August 2nd, we were supposed to have been at the Starbright Theater
in
but
Vegas.
It looks like they won't be opening up until sometime in September. So we're waiting to see what our new date will be.
So that's a challenge with this social distancing. If they're only allowed half a house, they lose
Right.
money.
Of
You
course.
know, and then so we're working with them with that. Our next scheduled one is in Delavan, Wisconsin. That is confirmed.
Yeah, the Belfry Music Theater. We're doing 2 shows there.
That's in the Chicago area, between Chicago and Milwaukee. That area over there.
I always
I
always like the professional musicians, because they can rattle off the names of these gigs and these towns. But what I love even more than that is when they rattle off the name of other musicians they played with, and they were like, "Yeah, you know, we played that show. That was with Skeets McCall. We was opening for Skeets, and then we had Wilson Duckett Foot was on that gig. That was a good gig, you know." Hey, you guys, you're awesome. Now, if we want to reach you, because we want to stalk you on the internet, we like you. We want to follow you. We want to praise you and worship you. And there's a difference, by the way, between praise and worship. That's the next show we're going to do.
Yeah.
But we do want to follow you. So how do we find you guys on the social media?
Well, our Facebook page for our show is just look up Carpenters Tribute Concert and or my name, Sally Olson. And then our website is www.carpenterstributeconcert.com, and that's Carpenters with an S.
Right. And you can find on there the calendar page, find out where we're performing. You can see video clips. And Sally, she's our social media person. So every other day,
president of social media.
Here's a sneak preview. And pretty soon, here's what's really funny is pretty soon we're going into the studio right after we finish this interview this afternoon to finish up our promo video for our Carpenters tribute for our Christmas show. And it was really interesting. We were doing the photo shoot. We did the photo shoot because of the social distancing, you know, policies all over. We had it done in our living room. And here it is. It's late May, early June, sweating our butts off with the Christmas tree set up and all this stuff and all the props, and the air conditioning broke in the house in the middle of the shoot.
I mean, had the air conditioning not broke, we wouldn't be very comfortable, but of course that happened. So.
So the Christmas thing is really special. It's a lot of fun. I'm in charge of props. I built a fake fireplace with the stone, and you see the fire glowing, and you got the tree and the whole thing. So I love that side of the show. So.
Oh, and before I forget, our next upcoming show in Las Vegas area, assuming everything goes well and as planned, is September 25th at Anthem Freedom Hall Theater.
Oh, wow. I bet that's beautiful. I love Anthem. I found out about Anthem completely.
And we're at the Sanders Family Winery.
October 3rd.
October 3rd.
In Pahrump.
Very nice. Very nice.
Try the Burgundy. I highly recommend it.
Highly. Hey, guys, it is Sally Olson and Ned Mills on the Ace Micheals show today. Wonderful conversation with 2 wonderful people. You guys continue to bring the blessings. You guys are making people happier than they've ever been. That's what they told me. Anyway.
Thank you. And Ace, I would like to take a moment and commend you because you are being very humble. You are quite a talented gentleman. I've backed you up many times and seen you just throw down and just get it going. And we both want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for what you do to support the entertainment community. This really means a lot to us.
Thank you,
so
guys.
much.
Coming from you, that means an awful lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're gonna all keep it going. We're gonna keep it moving. We're all gonna keep playing shows, and the city's gonna open back up, and the venues will get bigger, and the crowds will get more lively, and it's all gonna be a wonderful thing. Hey, man, it's been the Ace Michaels Show today. You know what I say at the end of every show? I still mean it. Live the life you love. Love the life you live. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, that was.